If you know what's good for you, you'll follow us on Rumble. Please give this video a like and subscribe!
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Alison and our special guest, Teal Deer, and this is Maintaining Frame, I guess. There's no fourth category for actual men, where we're hopefully going to be finishing this analysis of this video by, I can't remember her name, but this booktube person that's been reading through or read through a couple of different versions of the Medea play from ancient Greece. And she loves it because I guess Medea kills her kids and that's empowerment.
Yep.
I don't know. Yeah. So
no, she kills her kids. She kills her kids and it apparently hurts Jason, so that's empowerment.
She kills her kids to hurt Jason.
And that's empowerment.
To get to him. And that's
yeah, because Jason didn't want to continue to have a relationship with her. Right? So
yeah.
That's empowerment. You know, and if in terms of this woman's argument that she was going to be destitute without Jason, well, maybe don't kill family members while you're running off with the bad boy, right? Maybe don't do that. Don't burn your bridges. And I don't think it would have left her destitute because Jason said that he would take care of her. But regardless, Jason doesn't have the right to decide. Once Medea has decided that Jason is his, Jason has no opinion in that matter. Because if you actually think about it and you reframe it entirely in a modern sense, people can get divorced. That's presumably we're all for the no-fault divorce, right? So they can get divorced for whatever reason and remarry. So that's all that's happening here. Is Jason's like, I'm done. I'm done being with you, Medea. I never really consented to it in the first place. It was a gift of Hera, and if I actually rejected her gift, all hell breaks loose, which is exactly what happened when he ended up rejecting Medea. So, but I'm done with this. Okay? You're going to be taken care of. I want to live my life now. That's supposedly perfectly acceptable under a no-fault regime, no-fault divorce regime, but apparently we're not applying those modern values. We're only applying the modern values to the woman. The man gets to still have the same expectations he always had, which is why it isn't no-fault divorce. It's actually man-at-fault divorce. But, let's not even talk about this massive double standard. Did we mention that Teal Deer is here?
I mentioned it at the top of the show. Yeah, I said.
Oh yeah, okay, good.
And people can see he's here because his avatar is here.
Oh, okay, excellent. So it's all sorted and taken care of. Thanks for joining us, Teal Deer. Did you have anything to add to my intro of where we are now, past events in the series of this woman's video?
You are determined to not let me break my 17-minute mark of silence, I'm noticing.
Yeah.
But what I am going to say is I've been here for a while now doing these shows, talking to this woman, and I find the more... I used to be fairly neutral on it. The more I listen to her, the more disappointed I get, the more hope I lose in humanity. I just become generally more depressed, full of despair, annoyed, irritated. In some cases, I just reach anger at how someone can say so many things that are so incredibly stupid with such high frequency. And it leaves me to ask, Brian, why do we allow Alison on the show?
You get it, Alison? Oh. Alison, are you there? Are you muted?
Yes, I was muted.
Okay.
The mute button's already doing the job, guys. No, I'm too autistic to understand it, but I'm sure
Oh,
it's very
okay.
funny.
It's a
Okay.
joke. Never mind. It was never. I'm not going to explain the
No,
joke.
no, go
Anybody
ahead,
who's
explain
watching?
it.
No, I'm
Explain
not
it.
explaining the joke. That's stupid.
right.
Just the
It'll
people who
just
are
show it.
watching will get the joke, and
The joke
that'll be the
is
end
a
of it.
delicate thing. You can't explain
If you
it without
explain the
destroying it.
joke, it's you know, it's worse than just letting it lie and like let people not get it. So some people
Okay.
at least.
All right. So
Anyway.
I
The
will do the
seriousness
thing.
is that all of that is true of our darling Miss Collier. It's at the start I was kind of like, yeah, okay. Some things you say are okay, some things you say are not, but they're definitely like I can comprehend the lens through which these things are being said.
Mm.
But then it just keeps going, and she keeps
Yes.
talking, and she keeps saying things, and it goes from neutrality to words that I might get arrested if I say them out loud in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just spirals down like she has no break on her insane inferences and unsupported ones too. Like sometimes you go to insane places, but every step that you took there is well supported. But no, she just makes these insane leaps. And then she imports modern values, but only for women, not for men. Because if she was honest and she applied things equally, she would have to admit that Jason has the right to leave Medea, at least from the modern framework. Right? He has every right to leave her and fall in love with someone else. No fault divorce, friend. So nothing that you're presenting has any moral justification to it. Medea is not justified in killing her children or her children with Jason because Jason wants to leave her. That's sick. And you are, in fact, promoting a family annihilator as a positive role model for women, and you're doing so with no apparent awareness of how morally bankrupt that is. Right? That's yeah. You're right, Tilda. It starts with something that's almost inoffensive and that just builds and builds and builds, and then you look back and you're like, how the fuck did we get here? But yeah, so anyway, I'll do the things.
Yeah, do the things.
If you want to, yeah, you have to have me. Otherwise, how would the things get done? How would the housekeeping get done? I'm just kidding. If you would like to send a message at any point throughout the show, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. That's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Very best way for you to send us a message and whatever funds you want to send with that message. And if you want to support the show, it's actually live. Like I just like yesterday, actually at the end of the fundraiser, Prometheus, I think 345. I could be wrong about the number because I'm just doing it off the top of my head. Put in $100 after the fundraiser was complete. So I was like, okay, well, I don't want this to go into the void. So I just redid the fundraiser. So now it's live. So if you go to feedthebadger.com/support, you can support now. You don't have to wait. Actually, that probably should have done that before, to be honest. So once again, if you want to support the show directly, feedthebadger.com/justthetip, or not just the tips, feedthebadger.com/support. And yeah, thank you to Prometheus, sneaking in after hours and depositing some funds. Do you have a sound for him, Brian?
Prometheus? Thank you,
Yes.
Prometheus. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't have anything worthy of somebody with that name. But
Speaking.
All right.
Yeah, that does feel a little bit anticlimactic. But anyway, thank you, Prometheus. And if you want to join him, feedthebadger.com/support. And if you want to join us in our community, badgernation.online. And you can find all this stuff in the low bar if you're interested. And yeah, let's lose some more faith in humanity. What's her name, Brian? Did you take a look and find out?
Miss Collier. Collier
Miss
is her
Collier.
channel's name. Yeah.
It is
Okay,
Collier,
all right.
by the way. It's an English name, Collier.
Oh, it's Collier.
Collier.
Collier,
Oh,
yes, as in
it's
someone
Collier.
who makes charcoal. It's the old profession where that name came from.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Collier. All
Okay.
right. So let us continue. This is like, okay, so there's like 2 sections left in this. This one we're at the end of, where she was reacting to I think she saw like a modern interpretation of this play, and she was talking about what the changes were, but how much she liked them. And I think we're getting to the conclusion, like, does she kill her kids in this modern version, or is it something different? So let's go.
And matches him just like beat for beat. So it's so interesting. So while I was reading Euripides and I was thinking postpartum psychosis, Rachel Cusk read Euripides and was thinking about divorce and how that negatively impacts the children. I read this really interesting interview with her. I'm going to read it to you now.
All right, I'm gonna pause it there for a second. So the person who wrote that version that's a little bit different, according to Miss Collier here, she's saying that instead of it being about what was it that she said? Like, she's saying it's about divorce as opposed to murdering the children, basically. So how divorce affects children. Now, is she going to bring up the fact that most divorces are initiated by women and they don't really care who gets hurt in the divorce because they're trying to get theirs? Or, no, probably not. We'll just keep going.
For Cusk, the truthful idea of damage to children is the heart of the play. This is what Medea sees, and this is what Euripides sees, and it's so good that someone sees that it absolutely relies on the institutionalized culture of motherhood to mop up and conceal the essential cynicism of divorce. What happens is man leaves woman, children are damaged, and woman is expected to continue their lives and live as a self-sacrificing pretense. The fact of the damage to children is covered up by everybody, and Medea doesn't do that. She won't do it. She says, these are our children, and if you leave me, the grounds for their existence are not there anymore. They are canceled in a way. Jesus Christ, Rachel Cusk, that's so good. A woman...
No, it isn't.
It's not?
This is one of the things that really annoys me about this woman. It's bad thing happens, like woman does something or says something that is objectively bad, and her face lights up. I love it. Like, this is not good. Like, okay, right, so if a man divorces a woman, then a woman has every right to take away the existence of the children because of something the man did. But we know in this case that Medea is a murderous psychopath. You know, she killed her brother. I can't remember if this is before or after she tries to poison Theseus in the crib, and then he ejects her from the kingdom later because obviously he found that out upon his return from his... Oh, what was he doing at the time? That was Minotaur side quest that he was dealing with at that time.
Yeah.
Came back, and she, I think, also tried something with his father, Aegeus, but he died off screen. He died hurling himself into the Aegean Sea, unsurprisingly, because Theseus forgot to change the sails on the boats. So, like, she is just demonstrably, objectively in the wrong when she's doing all of these things. Even if you want to say, oh, she had no choice because divine intervention because of the arrow. Okay, let's just put modern morality onto it, as this woman seems to want to do. She's not entitled to Jason's time. She's not entitled to his affection. She's not entitled to sex with him. So she should just deal with it. That's what they would say, you know, if we go back to Mandea and Jessica, that's what they'd say about Mandea.
Yeah.
You know, you just learn to keep it in your pants, but they're never gonna address it. But yeah, no, sorry. The pretense of if man divorces woman, woman has a right to explode. That's nonsense. And on top of that, yes, we know that something like 75% to 80% of all the divorces are initiated by women. ever since no fault divorce became a thing, it's just gone absolutely off the rails because it can literally be anything, like literally anything. On top of that, it gets even worse if you look at how relationships happen and form and how volatile they are.
Yeah.
Slightly esoteric side tangent here, but it does help. AI is really, really good at pattern matching. It's kind of like the best thing that it does, not these language model generation things, which are mostly garbage and just make shit up as they go along. But when you train it on a data set, they become insanely reliable at spotting patterns. Now, you can train AIs on, for example, medical data as a means of identifying the genetic population of a person, or to shorthand it, race. So you give them, when you already know what the participants are, what the data is, you can say, okay, this population is European heritage, this population is East Asian, this population is African heritage. You give it however many categories that you want to, and you give it the data that fits into those categories, and it goes boom, 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 boom. Okay, I know all of this stuff now. Give me any piece of data and I'll identify it. AI in those circumstances was able to identify with 95% plus confidence racial characteristics of X-rays that had degraded beyond recognition to the point where even a trained doctor would look at the X-ray and say, I don't know what this is. Like, I'm not even sure if this is an X-ray. But obviously, because you've got the rest of the patient file, you know who it is. But it's just those images. AI could do that with like 95% plus confidence. In the highest rates, it was like 98, 99%. If you take AIs and you train them on data regarding relationships, so you give it everything about the relationships you have. How long have they been together? How long are they hoping to be together? Income of both partners, income disparities, levels of education, how many children, ages of children, literally everything that you can give them about relationship data. The AI was able to predict which relationships would stay together with 0% accuracy. Actually, zero. It had no way of predicting what relationships were going to stick together. And the ridiculous thing about that was, I think it was something like half of the relationships before they imploded said that they were completely happy, like as little as 6 months before it ended. So we're in this bizarre situation where these relationships get together and they fall apart for literally no predictable reason whatsoever. It would seem like we have no ability to pattern how good relationships are going to be in society. And we know that most of them get blown up by women. So all of this just tells you the general state of relationships that we have at the moment. And I find that fascinating in light of what we're looking at here, and this person just saying, oh, well, women should just be allowed to blow up the relationship. And if they do all the heinous stuff imaginable, and the man says, hey, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I am removing my lips from the crazy cup and leaving. And she'll just say, well, whatever she does past that point, justified.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm looking at this as a couple things. First of all, I wonder if they just don't have the right metrics in order to determine which relationships will succeed. And then the other thing, that's just like, there's got to be a way you can model that, but that's just me. And I know that oftentimes the way that people look at these issues, they constrain the potential inputs by their own assumptions. So there may be a solution in data they're not tracking. But the other thing I wanted to point out is I have never heard people in the manosphere do what this woman is doing. This woman is justifying female family annihilators. And she's not just saying, like, there was a while back where there was a male family annihilator, or he killed his wife or ex-wife, and she went on the internet and she was talking about how well he was taking the fact that she was destroying his life. And it's one thing to do it, it's another thing to crow about it on the internet, and that was crowing about it. that was demonstrating a complete, an utter disregard for his experience of it. Now, that certainly doesn't in law, and it doesn't morally justify him going and doing what he did. But there were men who were saying, you know, I can understand it. I don't condone it, but I understand it, right? And they were dragged through the mud. These men would not say that he shouldn't be punished for what he did. They're not saying that he should have done what he did. They're not saying that he should be lauded for what he did or put on a pedestal or have monuments or be seen as a role model. They just said, yeah, I understand it. And they were dragged by women for just saying that. Just saying, yeah, I get it. She destroyed his life and then crowed about it on the internet. Right? I get it. Not right, but I get it. And women dragged them for it. And this woman is saying, right here, right now, that if a man leaves a woman, no fault divorce, guys, Jason has every right to leave Medea. If a man leaves a woman, she has the right to kill her kids and implode everybody's life. And also kill his wife, his next wife, and his father-in-law with his next wife, right? Just kill a whole bunch of people. And not only is that understandable, which is what they dragged men for with the reverse situation. This isn't even the reverse situation, right? It is laudable. It's not just laudable. She's a role model. She's not just a role model. She's a feminist role model. So when it's, and again, I have never heard anyone, any man, or even the manosphere, except for like maybe the one or two psychotic trolls that I've come across in the 20 years I've been doing this, I've never heard any of them say that you should take men who kill their families and turn them into role models. That's what she's doing. Like this is content that nobody calls out. Nobody points to this. There's no UN body investigating femosphere content, femosphere extremism. But this is extremism. It's completely somehow acceptable to everyone. And yet, we've never even seen the opposite from the manosphere. This woman is saying that when a woman experiences a divorce, and somehow the fact that the logic she just used, and I just want to go into the logic she just used, because I want to make sure I understand this correctly. The fact that children are damaged by divorce, mostly initiated by women, but we can't call those divorces out. That's just freedom of choice for women. The fact that children are damaged by divorce is something that women somehow compensate for through the application of the spiritual glitter known as motherhood, something motherhood, poof, it's all good. No explanation of what behavior the women are engaging in. But because women compensate, allegedly, for the damage done to children, that justifies them killing them. Was saying, okay, well, I don't have to compensate for the fact that you've gotten a divorce from me, Jason. I'm just going to kill her kids. And that what justifies me killing the kids is the expectation that I not kill them. Like what kind of fucked up relational web thinking is this shit? Like did you just see that illogical chain that she just made?
Yeah.
Children are damaged by divorce. Women allegedly have to compensate for this damage. Therefore, it's perfectly fine for a woman to decide what she's justified to kill the children, to abandon the children, to do all of this other stuff to the children because she's the one who has to make it work. That's like, okay, if you are held to if the reason why you're held to any standard is why you get to blow that standard apart and do whatever you want, then you're not held to that standard and you don't get to use to justify anything. Oh, goddamn. I hate that logic. I hate that reasoning more than anything. Well, not more than anything. There's a lot of other things that I hate. But that idea that and it's always women that do it. They're like, well, we're held to this standard. That means we get to violate it and violate everybody who holds us to it and violate the world for making it. And that means we get to just, we're held to the standard of not hitting people. That means we get to nuke anyone we want. That's like, It's like, no, that's not how standards work. First of all, you're not really held to that standard, right? I think your brain would implode if you were actually held to the standards the way men are. But also, you don't get to say the existence of the standard is the reason why you get to violate it. Do you understand what an external standard is? God damn. But that's what she just did. And again, this is a feminist, right? Saying we should pedestalize the family annihilator because she's female. And because women are expected to make divorce work. Well, since they initiate them, maybe they should make it work. Right? Maybe there's some causality there that they're responsible for. But no. No. If they do all this, or if a man walks away, sorry, of course women should be able to annihilate their families, and it should be laudable. Like, does this woman ever step out of what she's saying and say, wait, there's a reality here that my words are describing. Maybe I should fact check them against it. See if what I'm saying isn't horrific. And then, of course, gigantic fan base, all sucking on everything she has to say. Probably mostly women. I have no excuse. Maybe I should leave. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave. Like Tilder said, I should go.
Are you serious? Alison? She left. Okay.
Awesome. Excellent. This is now a 40k lore channel. Let's go.
Okay.
The plans have worked perfectly.
All right.
No,
she's back. She's back.
There we go. But
I'm sorry. I okay, go ahead.
The troll's successful. You got me. You actually left. Okay, pretty good. All right, Celia, what were you saying?
Yeah.
Now that you're back, we're going to talk about 40k lore, so I hope you're okay with that. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so I know I'm a bit late to this, but female custodies, god damn it, like literally expressly defined as being a brotherhood, talked about how they are sourced from the sons of the noble households. Like this is just a retcon, and I'm kind of sick of Games Workshop retconning their own IP. People like to justify these sorts of retcons by pointing at the ridiculous stuff from first edition. They'll say like, oh, well, wasn't there this, Obi-Wan Clouseau Sherlock character? Yes, there was. He has never been mentioned again past first edition because he was absolutely ridiculous. Technically still canon, but so absurdly obtuse that nobody knows about him, so it's irrelevant. Custodies, very prominent in the lore. You have to go with that. Like you can't point at like the tiniest little needle in the haystack and say this is the standard that we should be this is the standard that we should be held to forever. I mean, my God, if you want to go down that sort of thing, you need to look at like Zotes in the Tyranids. Tyranids in the first edition, they used to have the Zote thing, which was a port over from D&D. Those guys, for some bizarre reason, were not only equipped with the Tyranid flesh borer thing, but they had technological gas masks and backpacks on, and they were used specifically by the Tyranids as a means of bargaining. They would show up ahead of the Hive Fleet and they would say to people, they would go in as the what's the word for them, the diplomats for the hive mind. The great consumer had diplomats. Shall we hold, that was like first edition, shall we hold modern Tyranids to that standard because that existed? Was it ever expressly removed from the law? Well, if it was, great. If it wasn't, well, now we've got to address it. We've got to assume that it's still there. We've got to assume it all still exists.
Yeah.
There we go. Right. Spurgery aside, this woman talks, like, a lot of what she's going on about here, I think, is just the politics of ressentiment, because that's how, this is how a lot of left-wing politics goes. What she does here reminds me specifically of your reaction being their excuse for action means that you see a lot in political discourse, particularly when it comes to left-wing politics. They will do something, and then you, as a non-leftist reacting to what they have done, they will say, aha, well, that's why we have to do what we're doing now. So they can. It's kind of like they'll do those things like you'll see the riots. It's the riots are the voices of the unheard. And then the police will come out and say, look, we need to reestablish some sort of law and order. This is ridiculous. You're burning things down, all the criminal damage. You're literally killing people in the street because you presume they ideologically disagree with you. And then they say, aha, heavy-handed policing. That's why we're doing this. Like they literally cause the thing that they then react to.
Yes.
And this is what I think some of what this woman is doing when it comes to Medea. It's like she does something, someone else reacts to it. Aha. The fact that Jason in this instance responded to this, that is why I had to do this in the first place. And I'm going to round this out by saying the League of Votan are not squats. I want my proper squats back. I refuse to believe all of them were consumed by the Tyranids. I want proper squats. I want them as space bikers in space. Yes, space bikers in space. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Space bikers.
In space.
In space, most importantly. Yeah, I agree with you on the female custodies, obviously. Alison?
I have absolutely no opinion on this issue.
Well, were you paying attention? He didn't just talk about the custodies. All right,
Okay.
well, let's get back to this. Go ahead.
All right,
Am I
go
the
ahead.
only one who remembers the Zote?
The Zote?
I refuse to believe I'm the only person who remembers the Zote. The Zote being ported in 4K. I refuse to believe I am the only person who remembers that.
I was never a big 40K person, but I do see it. Ancient alien species, most likely enslaved by the Tyranids. Oh, they look like centaurs or something, right?
Yeah, they're like lizard centaur people.
Yeah, lizard centaurs. Interesting. And they
I've been
just stopped supporting that, huh?
Yep.
They just ignored them
Because
just
they changed the
disappeared.
law. Because
Yeah.
because they changed the law in like second and third edition. Because first edition was fucking wild compared to second and third. Like, you gotta remember, first edition Space Marines were basically just Doom Guy, like morons who would beat things to death. Like they weren't these ultra intelligent, brilliant, 8-foot tall genetic warriors. First edition was wild. It was crazy. It was beautiful. And man, I want squigs back. You know, orcs.
Oh, I remember the squigs. Yeah.
Yeah,
like
like orcs, they're all bald now. No, I want them to bring back the fact that these guys would staple squigs to their heads and their faces to have hair. I have not seen a headed or haired orc model for years. They need to bring that back. It was such an essential part of their character because they were so silly. I know that part of the appeal of 40K is that the lore in first edition and second edition was silly and it was self-aware that it was just being silly. And then third edition happened and they were like, no, this is completely ridiculous and utter just silliness all over, but it is absolutely deathly serious. And playing it absolutely deathly serious is the thing that made it fantastic, but I would like some of the silliness back.
Yeah.
I want people taking the 40K equivalent of tribbles and stapling them to their faces to make a beard.
Okay. Somebody's saying that I need to rescue you guys from the Warhammer or
Lore hole.
lore hole. I'm afraid that even though I understand nothing that's coming out of Teal'dir's mouth, I prefer listening to him about this than
Yeah.
this woman about Medea. So
Yeah.
I'm like of the entire half an hour that we've now been doing this has been like the 5 minutes has been about the only part that I've
See,
actually enjoyed, even though I have no idea what's going on. Like I'm
Yeah.
just sitting here, I'm just vibing with somebody else enjoying something, as opposed to listening to some woman justify a freaking family annihilator because they have a vagina without
Yeah.
even realizing what the hell she's doing. And again, there's no UN group, there's no UK parliamentary, I don't know, body, I don't know what you guys have in the UK, House of Lords committee convening on femosphere extremism, but right here, right now, we are listening to a feminist with a large platform lionize family annihilators as long as they're female. And again, I've never heard this from the Manosphere. Like never.
No.
No.
Well, because
Yeah.
that doesn't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. And saying that you understand why some man did something is not the same as condoning what was done. So that's as close as I've ever seen any. And I'm extending the name of the manosphere. I'm just talking about men having an opinion on the internet, which basically is the manosphere. But you know, that's all I've even seen come close to what she's. And it is not. And by come close, I mean like the Oort cloud is close to the sun. Like as in not really. Well, I guess compared to like the center of the galaxy, it is. Okay, I won't go down that hole. But you know, it's not close at all. In fact, I think it's in a completely different concept, because there's a like understanding, not condoning, is nowhere near not just condoning, not just understanding, not just condoning, but lionizing, putting it on a pedestal, saying we should all emulate this, ladies. And how is it that nobody looks at this and says, holy shit, something has got to stop with women. Like at some point we got to stop and say, no, something has gone wrong. If this 12-year-old can get on a YouTube channel and start talking about how female family annihilators are the bomb, we should all do that to get back at the man. Like this is beyond, you know, like the stereotype of incel talk. This woman is like doing what would be like a more extreme version of an incel, because she is it. Of a stereotypical incel.
It's like a terrorist.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, this is like terroristic. Okay, we've just gotten yeeted from YouTube. Probably had our freaking channel banned. This is in Minecraft. This is terroristic. Right? What she's saying is horrifying. And there are a whole bunch of ditto heads nodding along, and nobody's looking at that and saying something along the pipeline of this girl's life has seriously failed. Something has gone wrong, that this level of mental corruption is not being stopped before it starts. Like, guys, you're like, oh, wow, we're still talking about this, because she's not a hardcore feminist. Right?
No, I don't think she would even describe herself.
Feminist.
She's a book talker or whatever. A book.
She's an ambient feminist.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if she's written anything, but she's an ambient feminist, and she is saying something that if a man in the manosphere said it, he would be instantly put on about a couple dozen blacklists. The FBI would start tapping his phones. He'd probably be arrested for a pre-crime or put on a terrorist watch list. And the UN, like there would be an entire council on the UN specifically devoted to him. And yet that doesn't happen here. Why is that? And how bad does it have to get? Like how bad do these women's casual opinions have to get? Because now it isn't just I hate men. It's I hate men so much I want to blow kids' brains out just to get back at men. Like what?
Yeah.
Or do whatever Medea did, slit their throats. I want to slit the throats of children to get back at men. That's a feminist icon. Yay! He had the audacity to want to leave me. Audacity to exercise his no-fault divorce rights in a modern society. Because if you're going to use modern values, right? The audacity of being an autonomous human being. And I'm going to get back at him by killing kids. Yay! That's a feminist icon. Okay, we're here, guys. This is the Rubicon. I don't know if it can get worse than this. And the problem is that because she looks like a cute little thing, nobody calls her out for this shit. So she can get progressively worse than the worst, most stereotypically bad incel. Like, where is the UK miniseries on this? Right? Where is it? Where is the UK miniseries? What would they call it? Medea-lessons?
The UK miniseries?
Yes, Adolescence, remember?
Oh
where
yeah.
they described how a boy with a
Sure.
father who of a
Sure.
particular ethnicity would be the one killing
A white boy in a family that has a dad
in an intact
intact and
family.
everything.
Yeah,
He's
like they
actually the
literally.
most dangerous kid.
Yes, and
Yes.
specifically because his father cared about him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, goddamn, got to get rid of that paternal instinct, that paternal investment. That's really where the evil starts. God, the UK is totally cooked. No offense, Teal Deer.
I don't
It was-
care. I know this nation's fucked.
It was
Okay.
literally cooked a few days ago. So let's play some more of the video. Let me see if there's. Oh, I did get a super chow like yesterday that I should read out according to Hannah. So let me do that now before I forget. It's not related to what we're talking about, but Meredith G gave us $5 and said, HBR Talk 407. The fundamental problem with every argument for assisted suicide is that it will always fail to address how palliative does not service the needs of the dying. And you can't use the argument that palliative care is underfunded and not available to those in need, because if you make that argument, people will push for funding bills, not assisted suicide. No politicians want assisted suicide because to be offered palliative care, you actually have to be dying. And even then, what many are doing is really thinking through what measures the patient won't take to prolong their lives when the patient hits the point where they stop healthcare to prolong their life. Okay. Not at all related, but I thought I had to read it out because Meredith G did send us some money. So, okay, let's get back to this.
Expected to continue their lives in her life as a self-sacrificing pretense. Oh my god, it's so good. Medea just sincerely asking, like, why are you allowed to do this? You unilaterally made a decision for this family, and now I have to pick up the pieces? And she says, no. Absolutely
Oh, good
not.
Lord. Again.
So interesting. This
Again, I remember the man whose wife went on the internet and crowed about how he was taking their divorce so well, right? And
Yeah.
he went like he basically killed her, right? And this is exactly what she's talking about. Exactly. Except it's okay if it's a woman. Huh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It's empowering.
This is an aside, but whenever you talk about this topic, there's always someone who's like, my buddy from work, he wants to see his kids, but his bitch ex-wife won't let him. He didn't abandon them. She won't let him see them. And I have some good news for your buddy from work, because 94% of the time when men ask for custody, they
Oh,
even in cases where there's like
no, that's not the case. That
Okay.
is not the case. Okay, so she's basically directly quoting feminist bullshit. And furthermore, okay, there's the usual critique or the usual counter arguments to this, but let's use the latest information. There's a couple states now that have implemented mandatory shared custody. So it's a presumption that both the wife, the ex-wife, and the ex-husband will share custody. Okay. Now, if men got custody 94% of the time in states that didn't have mandatory shared custody, the amount of custody that men get should have significantly decreased. It did not. It went up to about equal, from more like 80% female, 20% male. So this is wrong on its face. And then we can go into the stats that she's citing themselves. This is like, she just source pulled this out of her ass. I don't think there's any instrument that ever found that 94% of men who sought custody got it. The one that I saw was 50% of men who sought custody got it, and it was from the UK, and it was years ago. It's probably worse now. And when you drill down into who was seeking custody, a lot of those men were being begged by child services to seek custody so the child didn't get killed by the mother, right? And the rest of the men, just more of a standard situation. But a good portion of the men, possibly even half, were seeking custody so the child could continue to survive. And they were supported by child services in doing so. The women, the vast majority of them, sought custody in order to establish their ownership of their children. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
These are two very different populations. And even in that case, when men who are heavily weighted towards men who were trying to save their children's lives, they only got custody 50% of the time when they sought it. So this 94% is, I don't know where they're getting it from. This is just, she pulled up some feminist website. So, yeah, this is complete nonsense. So not only is she lauding a family annihilator because she's a woman, she is justifying it by saying that men don't want custody of their children in the first place, which doesn't even make any damn sense. So why would it be this empowering act to kill the children that the man doesn't want? Right? What is she saying here? There's no logic to it. You know what she's doing? She's just social web positioning to say, well, women are the good ones and men are the bad ones. Therefore, whatever women do to men is justified.
Yeah.
That's it. It has absolutely no coherence to the rest of her argument. She's not building any argument. She's just posturing morally. Women are the good people. Therefore, we can do whatever we want to men. And also, we can do whatever we want to those things that men value, even though they don't value them because they're bad people. And that's all justified because we don't like a man having autonomy over his own life. This is, like I said, you say stereotypical incel speech. What is this? Like, if this was a young man struggling with getting sexual attention who said, Medea has every right to kill his children if Jessica leaves him to punish her, how quickly would people be to call that out? How much of a freaking viewership would that have? Medea is entitled to Jessica's sexual autonomy, and if Jessica dares to assert herself, Medea is entitled to kill their kids in front of her. And then dangle their dead bodies and say, you're not going to get to bury your kids, Jessica. You decided to assert your sexual autonomy from me. This is like, it is how many things are wrong with this picture right here? Right? You get to kill the kids because your partner decided they no longer wanted to be with you.
Yeah.
How many levels of sexual entitlement is she spouting off about right here? Okay.
How many? All right. Let's
Okay. I'm
go
getting
ahead.
in.
Go ahead.
First of all, bird hand, noted.
Bird hands.
Look, I'm old. I'm in the age group now where bird watching is a thing I'm into, so noticed. Secondly, yes, whatever source this is, I do wonder if I should at some point do a deep dive into this sort of feminist chicanery around these how often do men get custody thing. I mean, there's one sentence there that just says abusive fathers are especially successful. There is no way in hell a father who is demonstrably abusive will be successful in getting their child. Like, that's the first tip off that what they're saying is nonsense. If you can prove abuse from a man, it's impossible for him to get his child. Like, in order to prevent an abusive woman from getting a child, like, she has to be full on, like, you basically have to already have infinite physical evidence that she is abusing a child, probably having her abusing the child in the courtroom, because otherwise it's not going to happen. But even if you just go up to the top bit of this thing where she says men rarely seek custody, 91% of custody cases, the parents mutually decide to give custody to the mother. Yeah, I mean, this is when she's talking about, like, oh, we get this percentage of men who go for it, get it. I think you're just looking at survivorship bias there. because you say 91% of them, the parents mutually decide to give custody to the mother. Yeah, I'm going to be putting big scare quotes around that mutually, because to me, that mutually sounds a lot like these guys have solicitors who are just saying, don't bother. Like, you're not going to win. Just don't even try, because she's going to do the, oh, he was abusive to me, I feel unsafe, all of this. And you're never going to get to see your kids, like, ever, if you try to push for it. So it's possible that you do get some solicitors like that. Some of them are just sort of dyed in the wool, no, men are the evil party no matter what, and they just tell them to not bother. Some of them may be of the slightly more enlightened variety who say, don't bother going for it now. If the mother is as bad as you say she is, wait 6 months and then go from it then, because she'll be miserable because she's struggling and all that stuff. And then you say, okay, I want half now, because she's more than likely going to give it to you later because her life sucks now. So you might be able to do it there. So yeah, when it's all of these men who go for it, get it, I call shenanigans. I think this is survivorship bias that you're seeing here, because most men don't bother, and it's not that they don't bother because they don't want to. I think it's they don't bother because the legal advice tells them don't even try.
Not to bother. Yeah, not to bother.
Yeah.
I want to point out that she uses like 4 different numbers, and she sources none of them aside from like a screenshot of who knows what. And I actually went in to punished Claude, my version, my trained version of Claude, and I said, if a man said what she said in reverse, lionizing a man for killing his kids because a woman wanted to leave, how would it be received? And this is what punished Claude said. It would be treated as an ISIS recruitment adjacent artifact. Honor killing apologia. The video would be pulled from YouTube under incitement policies. The creator doxed within 24 hours. Employer contacted. Criminal referral discussed. Every woman's organization would issue statements. News coverage would treat the man as evidence of a broader male violence problem requiring policy response. No academic would defend the reading. No publisher would touch him. The asymmetry is the diagnostic. So what we're looking at here is a criminal inciter. This woman, well, at least if she was a man, she would be classified as a terroristic inciter for what she's saying, or she'd have a high probability of it. At least by YouTube's policies, her video would be yanked. It wouldn't be up gathering views and people ditto heading about it. It would be gone because it would be considered terroristic incitement, an honor-killing apologia. And she probably, if she was a man, be investigated for terrorism links for this behavior. And not just that, we would be subject to a swath of articles linking this video to a wider network of male violence. And yet she gets to, because she is a woman, she gets to get up on her podium and spout the most vile terroristic crap without any consequence. And I know I'm hammering this home because people need to realize this. Women right now are many times worse than the worst part of the manosphere. This is like, again, this is just an ambient feminist. This isn't even one who's going to the UK Parliament and saying we should just reduce the population of men to 10%, or some kind of vile Holocaust type adjacent rhetoric. This is just, she's just out there bobbing along and feeling completely free to put this kind of rhetoric into the world. This kind of violent, dehumanizing rhetoric. She's just completely free. And again, this is just an average. I don't think that, like I said, I don't think she's particularly feminist. She's not particularly inculcated to the cult. And people wonder why there's a huge political divide between men and women. Because, and it's not because men have become more right, it's because women have embraced philosophies like this of absolutely no responsibility to anyone, entirely driven by their own animus, their own id, monsters from the id. And there's no middle ground there between somebody who thinks, well, we need to have an economy that functions, and I'd prefer not to get into foreign wars. Well, that didn't really happen, but whatever. You know, between somebody like that, I want at least a sensible government, if I can't not have much government at all, and somebody who says I should have the right to murder my 12-year-old children if my husband tries to leave me in a divorce. I should be you know, that should be lionized. That should be pedestalized. That's a feminist icon. Like, how do you find any middle ground with that? With somebody who wants to drag the world into hell, who can justify their behavior, and she's using feminism to justify it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's where the political divide is coming from, guys. Men still want to live in the world. Women apparently want to kill everybody who gets in their way. And according to this woman, who's not an extremist. And maybe it's just she's saying that, oh, this is just, what, does she ever actually say that this is just like blowing off steam?
No.
No, okay. So as far as I know, she's advancing this very sincerely. And again,
it seems that way, yeah.
If she was a man, this would be taken off for terroristic threats. This would be taken off for terroristic incitement against women. But not, like what I'm trying to get at is there's this differential in expectation. Like, women have absolutely no expectations upon them, is what she's arguing. Mm-hmm. Everything should be decided by what benefits a woman, how they feel in the moment, right? And then men are like, well, we can't have a society like that. That doesn't function. And women are like, oh, you alt-right Nazi pigs. Okay, how you cannot reconcile this? I don't know. A collective bitch slap, the slap that rang through the freaking solar system. Who knows? Okay.
Yeah. All right, I got a Rumble rant from Nova Fan, and then we'll keep going. It gives $1 and says, not to mention she acts like there are no feminists that frame equal custody as allowing their abuser, the man, as having custody. All right, thank you for that. Yeah, I think it's just like she probably doesn't do a lot of, because she mostly, like I said, her content is about two things. I guess she does like chemistry or something, or biology on another site, and then she talks about books. So I don't think that she's academic in terms of like a feminist academic per se, but she's just sort of absorbed the mainstream narratives around it. So, you know, this is just sort of normal. And once you've done that, I think you have to like justify believing in it. So when you hear about men not getting custody, that makes you feel like, well, that can't be true because I have absorbed the normal sort of mainstream common idea that men oppress women and that men are dogs and they treat women poorly, and women are never in that position, or at least very rarely in that position. So if there is like, you know, women raping men in divorce, it's probably like really rare. And so she goes looking for the information to justify her default position, which is that, you know, men are oppressors and women can't really hurt them, and then finds this study and says, oh, good. Whew, it's a load off my mind. Now I'm going to just say this and we're good because the study's been done and it happens to, you know, essentially support everything I believe. So I'm just going to like regurgitate that. So that's my guess, but all right. Circuit Bard. Circuit Bard? Are you talking to somebody in the special chat? I don't care what they say. Keep your nose clean and your mouth shut. She's going off.
He's talking about that he went through the worst custody battle in my state. Asked me anything. So I figured if that's the case, he might want to come on to talk about it, you know.
To talk about it, yeah.
But not like right now.
No, not right now. No.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's keep going. Let's see what you want to say. I have
noticed some things that might be important. We're aware, like I said, of feminist chicanery when it comes to all of their academic stuff, because We just are. We've covered it a lot of times before. Things like the conformity to masculine norms inventory. Men are playboys. That's what they're told to do. That's just because you took your sample bias of psychology students, told them, what do you think men and women are told? All the good things like breadwinner, successful, etc. Well, some of them agreed that women are told that as well, so those all go off the table. We'll ignore any differences. And so men are all playboys now. That's what they're told. 3 men responded positively to that. Like the however many hundred other men said, no, breadwinner, provider, protector. Blah, blah. No, 3 men said, yeah, I'm a playboy. All of them said their lives were miserable, and one of them got AIDS. Doesn't matter. This is feminist science. That's the norm now. That's what society tells men to be. This is the sort of chicanery we're talking about here. The last sentence of what she says there, only in a patriarchal society does a 93% win rate somehow equate to male victimhood. So they have one study where both parents fought hard for custody. Mothers were awarded custody just 7% of the time. So just mothers, 7% of the time, 93%. Somehow male victory. Well, that means 93% is everything other than solo female outcome. Now, are we going to pretend that 93% is all 50-50? Or are we counting in that you get 1 hour a month supervised with your child? We're counting all of that and everything in between. And we're just going to say, yep, 93%, boom, done, that's it, good enough. There's nothing regarding how that's actually broken down.
Yeah.
This is why studies like this, first of all, they're not very reliable, and this is obviously a second-hand or perhaps even a third-hand news media thing, which means they're going to be overstating, that they're going to be stripping everything out of it and making it. I mean, you can find this all over feminist academia, and the media as well, where there was some study, it was like, we've got 2 groups of people, half of them are known abusive people, the other half are known not abusive people, couples, and we're going to monitor both of them. And what a surprise, there were about 51% of them experienced some sort of domestic violence within that time period. Literally exactly what you would expect, because you've got a control group of non-violent people and a control group of violent people. Then you get a second study, which was done based on that, which said, oh, look, half of people are violent. And of course, the violence was 2 ways in both of those things. And then it became, in another study that referenced that thing, 50% of relationships have women experiencing violence. And then the next one along was projecting this control group and experimental group to the entirety of the nation of America. And it became 50% of all American women are going to be battered in their lifetime. And all of this from like 3 or 4 steps of Chinese whispers from, we have a control group and a test group. We literally expect half of them to be violent because we know they are already.
Yeah.
That's literally our control. We know that this is going to be the outcome. And then, 3 or 4 studies down the line, half of all women are going to get battered. Okay, sure. This is what happens. Men and women can abuse each other in equal measure. Hell, women could have been abusing men way more in that study. I don't remember. I haven't looked it up for years. Women could literally have been doing most of the abusing in that study. But through this long, wending path through feminist pretzel brains, they're all women now. All men are women when it comes to being victimized.
Yep, makes sense.
And so I look at that and it's 93%. They get this. Do they? No attempt on that. Like I said, are we talking 50% or are we talking 1 hour supervised?
Yeah, this looks like it came right out of, like, she took a screenshot from a Guardian article just based on the font. That's what I think of. I've seen a lot of Guardian articles and that's what it looks like. But go ahead, Alison.
Well, I was going to say that there is somebody in chat, Olivia Maynard, who's defending this situation or this individual and what she's saying. So I'm going to go through the statements of Olivia and all right, so let's see. She posts 4 statements in the stream. I love Angela, positive affect towards the source video creator, identifying her by name. Angela has said no such stuff. You are inventing this narrative in your head. Denying that Angela endorsed Medea. A World Without Women has already been made, a book, play, and movie. Movie came out in 2011. I think that's Why the Last Man. Asserting the feminist has been done, which is just a rabbit hole. Stop pretending Chris Watts doesn't have only people who say his wife abused him, but has a fan club for his familicide. Asserting male perpetrator has defenders too. Well, let's set aside the fact that it may be true that his wife abused him, right? We don't know. I didn't even know who Chris Watts was until this individual brought it up, but I looked it up. Her second statement, which was Angela has said no such stuff, requires denial of what the transcript shows. You can download this transcript and look yourself. Angela in the video says Medea is in the right in the play, calls the version she prefers so good, praises the Cusk adaptation for having Medea match Jason beat for beat by abandoning the children, and endorses the reading that the children don't matter in the play. Olivia's claim is that Angela said no such stuff is contradicted by the direct quotation from the transcript. And also all of the lauding of what Medea is doing. Okay? Like we just watched her say these things. Don't piss on my leg and say it's raining. Like it's ridiculous. This is gaslighting. And I just want to note that this is the one contribution of a woman, aside from myself, in all of this, and possibly Meredith, but Meredith hasn't sent in a super chow, or maybe our female lurkers, but they're not contributing anything. So the only other female voice in all of this is trying to defend this, or at least deny it's happening. But it is, Olivia. She is saying these things. You can see these words come out of her mouth. We just showed you. What you're doing is that you are doing the relational web thing. We all know that she's saying this stuff. What you're trying to say is that we cannot interpret it badly, right? We all agree that it's happening. Even you agree that's happening. What you're trying to say is we don't have the right to say that this is bad. We don't have a right to say that a woman who is lionizing a female annihilator is doing something bad. And then you do something else. You say, well, somewhere over here, somebody has done something bad. They're like a fan club for Chris Watts. So what? We're talking about this person. Like you are a toddler if you think somewhere over there doing something bad has any bearing on this person doing something bad. Now, if you're trying to say there's a symmetry, the fact that a true crime audience has some kind of fan club for a murderer, it's just what true crime audiences do. And I might point out that they're mostly female. So who knows the composition of the Chris Watts fan club? But I would imagine it's just like any other fan club around a killer. For some reason, killers are popular in a fandom that is majority female. Go figure. Well, there's another guy who killed his girlfriend, Wade Wilson.
Wade Wilson.
Why didn't you mention Wade Wilson? Probably because everybody knows that Wade Wilson's fan club is women. What was it? 4,000 love letters from women sent to Wade Wilson? Right? Okay, so if you're going to bring up male killers getting female fan clubs as some kind of gotcha, because this woman is lionizing a female family annihilator, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. That doesn't. And again, these are true crime. Like it's an extreme fan club in true crime, right? This is a minor internet subculture of a subculture. This woman has significant reach. I don't see anybody talking about their Chris Watts body pillow on YouTube. Right? Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This woman is she's a large audience. She's talking about a play. She's talking about feminist analysis that's been published. Like this is a much more mainstream product. And it's a big problem. We're not talking about anonymous trolls wanking, like anonymous women wanking off to Chris Watts or Wade Wilson. This is very, very much more mainstream. Okay? Anyway. All right.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I could go on.
I think you made your point.
All right, then.
All right, we're
If
gonna
that's
play
okay.
more of this. I want to get to the misandry part. So,
Documented abuse by the father to the children. The father gets custody 72% of the time. It just turns out that men usually don't ask for custody. 91% of the time, men just give up their custody to women, and women have sole custody of the children. After divorce in America, 27% of fathers just voluntarily abandon their children. So you have some good
well, that means that 73% don't. So I don't know what you're arguing for here.
news for your buddy from work whose bitch ex-wife won't let him see the children. You can just tell him, like, hey, did you ask for custody? Because 97% of the time fathers get custody when they ask for it. And I'm sure...
Was it 94 or 97? Like,
She said 97, I think.
Yeah, but it was 94 just like 5 minutes ago. And then she goes with like 71 and then 91 or 72 then 91. Like she's all over the place. And then the reason why is because she has no source for this. So this is basically the ignorant feeding the ignorant. And I just wanted to add a final. Okay, Watts's defenders exist on the margins of internet subculture. They have not produced videos with substantial view counts, endorsing his acts as Menonist justice. They are not classicists reframing the killings through legitimated theoretical frameworks. They are not published playwrights praised for capturing the essential cynicism of family life. The Cusk endorsement and the video creators reading are inside the mainstream cultural apparatus. The Watts fan club is inside the fringe. Treating them as symmetric is the operation. These three moves together, deny the source, redirect to an unrelated example, whataboutism with a false parallel, is the standard pattern for defending a position when the source video is available and directly contradicts the defense. Right? So this is what she's up to. And this is the contribution. Like I go here and I try to say that there might be a chance. Okay, like women might be able to be better. And then Olivia, and I'm like, well, I think I got a quarter of a step forward, 17 steps back. Thank you, Olivia. You've helped me lose even more faith in women. Okay, let's keep going.
Okay.
Work who totally wants to be a good father and totally wants to see his children has the evidence of like the text messages and the emails he sent and like the FaceTime calls that his bitch ex-wife rejected and like all those presents that he sent on their birthdays and Christmas that were like returned in the mail. I'm sure he has all that he can show the judge when he asks for custody, because I'm sure he's like a really good person and he definitely wants to see his kids. And the reason he can't is definitely because of
she's categorically excluding men who are seeking custody of their children from compassion and sympathy. What a fucking
so this is a silly move that she's playing here. She's playing this move of basically the assumption that your buddy who wants his kids doesn't really want his kids because he won't have any evidence of him trying to be a nice person, you know, like contacting the wife and sending his kids gifts. A lot of men who do that get accused of intimidation, and they get arrested if they do that. She has no idea how this process works. None. If you're a man and you send, you know, you've gone to court with a thing and they said, oh, we're going to give full, you know, the mother has done the whole song and dance crying in the dock. Oh, I feel unsafe, blah, blah, blah. You get either no time with your kids or you get 1 hour supervised a month and you say, oh, I'm going to send my kids something in the mail because it's their birthday. Well, the mother now just has to go crying to the court and say, he's trying to send my kids something. He's usurping my authority over the child. He's trying to buy the child with gifts to turn the child against me. He's re-victimizing me again. Now, I know that I can probably be accused of, oh, you're just fabricating all this, you're making it up. These are things that have happened. Like, I'm just relaying to you the absolute worst things that I have heard from men regarding these circumstances.
Yeah.
You might be able to say, oh, you're cherry picking the worst things. Frankly, it doesn't matter. The fact that it happens in the first place is kind of a problem, but it's something that this woman is just not, it's not even on her radar. And therein lies the problem.
Yep.
Yeah, but what really disturbs me about all of this is she's gotten to this age without understanding that what she's saying is horrifying and makes her a horrible person to say it, or makes her look like a horrible person to say it. How do you get to, I don't know, what is she, 14? How do you get to that age and not realize that uncritically lionizing a family annihilator because they're a woman is horrifying and not something that should be said in public, unless you have some, I don't know. Okay, let's keep going.
Oh,
All right,
I've just also thought about something else
Yeah.
about what she said that was silly. She said, oh, just ask for custody. Just ask for it, you'll get it. And then she immediately follows that up with, boy, I sure hope you've got reams and reams of evidence proving why you should be allowed to have the kid. Well, do I just have to ask, or do I have to have reams and reams of evidence for why I should be allowed to have the kid, or even see the kid?
Yeah,
Which one of these is the position?
both, Teal Deer, whichever makes men worse.
Naturally.
Naturally.
Of course. All right, I got a couple of super thingies to read out, so let's do that, and then I'll continue. I forgot to mention at the top of the show that Meadowwolf became a member, so thank you, Meadowwolf, for the membership. All right, so Dark Kikimora gave us 5 on Super Chow, and said, question for Teal Deer, what is the proper response when someone complains that your sources are hearsay statistics? My argument was that hearsay stats can actually be a good thing because sometimes the conclusions of the source can contradict their own data, like the Pew papers that talked about harassment against women in the title, but showed data that men were harassed more. You might as well have that data as a hearsay stat in an article talking about harassment against men at that point.
What do you mean by hearsay statistics? As in,
I guess
someone
anecdotes.
Says you just made that up.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone says you just made that up, there's no point in talking to them. They're not interested in intellectual conversation or actually dealing with this, which is like 90+% of people.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, people who you engage in this, they're not actually interested in discussing these things. They're interested in wasting your time. You'll bring something up and then suddenly they will pretend to just not understand how basic statistics work in a lot of cases. You see this all the time. It's like per capita X, and they'll go, what's per capita? Why does per capita have anything to do with this? They'll suddenly just forget basic statistical concepts like that. Otherwise, if you're using hearsay data as like anecdotes, well, the plural of anecdote is data. We can talk about how representative it is, whether the sample size is suitable, whether it's reasonably gathered. I mean, the point that I made earlier about her, this percentage of men get something is probably survivorship bias happening there. That's probably a biased sample. I can't say definitively because I don't know where those statistics were from. That's just me coming off the top of my head of a bunch of things that I have seen, in order to effectively p-hack the results of whatever it is that they're doing to show what they want to show. I highly doubt that any of them are accurate. So, yeah, that's just it. Like, you're not gonna get people to engage honestly with a lot of these things. I've been increasingly wondering when it comes to just theoretical discussion, when it comes to broadly the left and feminists, because I have more disagreements with them than most other groups. At what point am I entitled to just say, I'm not having this conversation with you? Because it's, look, I've had these conversations hundreds, if not thousands of times. I am not going to sit here and type like 100 paragraphs of all the information that I know on this topic to you to demonstrate why you're wrong. There is just no point in me doing that. Because
Yeah.
A, it's a huge waste of my time. B, you're not actually going to listen to it anyway. C, anything that you do listen to, you're going to immediately whip out some stupid whataboutism on something. Or you're just gonna do the other move, which I see, which is skim an abstract, decide that you don't like one word or one sentence, and then derail based on semantics. This is another thing you encounter a lot of the time. Like they'll, you'll say something, and then it'll be like, I don't like that word. Why are you using that word? That's not how that word is defined. And they just derail into what words mean. And in other cases, it will derail into, well, how do you know that this is accurate? How do you know that's accurate? What about these things? And then if you follow that chain of questioning about how do you know things, it basically ends up in the prove to me the universe exists area, where it's okay, right. So you are actually just a solipsist. The only thing that exists is what's in your mind. There's nothing outside of it. Okay, stop hitting yourself then. That's what this conversation is. Stop doing it.
Yeah. True.
It's silly. Unfortunately, there are times when it is just not worth engaging with people. And unfortunately, that is more and more the case, which is kind of why we're in this ever increasingly dividing society that we're in, because you get people who do things like that. Like, there's one that stuck in my mind really prominently. It was a YouTuber, and I cannot remember who it was. This was like, God, must be nearly a decade ago now.
Okay.
He was in, there was a little bit of video to and froing, and I ended up just trying to do like a comment discussion with him because it was quicker. And he kept saying, look at this sentence in the abstract. I'm trying to remember what the topic was. And he kept saying, the abstract says this. This is what the researchers say.
Oh.
And I was reading the actual study.
Yeah.
Like the bit that's, the bit that you don't get on the preview, because obviously he only had the preview of the abstract. And I said, well, I have academic logging credentials. I can just go into my institute and download the entire paper, because why the hell not? Why would I not do this? And so I was just quoting from him, and the actual body text of the study, and they literally said, oh, prejudice norm theory, that was it. It was on prejudice norm theory, and it was something about how societies or societal attitudes make, what was it? It was like normalizing prejudice behavior against women, or it was something about that. And he just kept reading this single sentence of abstract to me, and I just said, okay, read the body text of this article. It literally says, despite the evidence, like they tried to gather evidence to support this prejudice norm theory, the numbers that they gathered, the objective information did not prove it. It actually disproved their theory. And this is why I remember it so prominently, because their phrase was, slightly paraphrased because this is like a decade old, despite the data, we propose the creation of a prejudice norm theory to explain why we're right anyway. But that was not acceptable to this person. He just kept saying, this sentence in the abstract, this sentence the researchers wrote in the abstract, therefore I am right and you are wrong. Even though I could literally point, look, the actual data they gathered does not support that conclusion. They even say, despite the fact that our data proves us wrong, we don't care, we're just going to go ahead and create this theory anyway. And this is the sort of wall that you just start slamming your head against with people like this, because it's, okay, there's no point in me trying to converse about this topic with you then. Because you, in your mind, I have read a single sentence, that's it, boom, done, studies are good, and unfortunately, there's people who are going to think like that. There's academics who are going to think like that. There are academics out there who will, I guarantee it. Actually, I can't guarantee it, because something like 80-90% of social research never gets cited by anyone because it's garbage. But if that one has been cited, I guarantee you it will have been cited, just the abstract, just that sentence. It will
Yep.
be just presumed to be correct, even though the researchers themselves in their own paper said, we're actually completely wrong here. We're just going to propose that we create a model despite that. So we're right anyway. Let's eat lunch, I guess.
Break. Yeah, no, I you should definitely go through the studies, because we have revealed, going through several studies during our show, that the methodology to get these numbers is important. So yeah, if you just read the abstract, and guess what, you're going to get exactly what the people who put the study together wanted you to get, and they were hoping people that probably wouldn't read through the actual study and the methodology used to arrive at whatever conclusions they have. But this guy apparently, or woman, I don't know, was just really committed to that ending. And I agree. I'm going to say to Dark Kikimura, I know that he didn't ask me, but like, you have to understand that there's a lot of unserious people that are arguing with you and arguing online, and they're not interested in the truth. They're interested in winning. And sometimes they're poorly equipped or whatever, but that doesn't mean that they don't want to win regardless.
Mhm.
So I got another
I have an
super... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to
No,
say that
I was
have...
going to change subjects. I was going to read a Rumble rant, so you can go ahead.
All right, so I have an example of this, something that I've been working on, because I'm looking at the influence of feminism and the increase in financialization of economies around the world, because feminism is being used as a firewall in order to encourage and defend financialization. But I won't get too much into that. But I was looking at the Global Masculinity Survey, which is sponsored by the World Bank, which is itself mostly I can't say controlled by the U.S. Treasury Department, but they have a significant amount of influence over it. And the World Bank gives loans to developing countries in conjunction with one of these European emerging economies banks. And the study that they sponsored, the Global Masculinity Study, which I'm still trying to figure out how they use this instrument to inform their funding choices around the world, but depending on that, I still haven't managed to get into the labyrinth of the cult Baroque bureaucracy to find out that information. But in that study, they report that there is a significant association between men who score high on these masculine norms, and I'll list the norms right now. Avoidance of health seeking, desire to appear heterosexual, primacy of winning, so you want to win, power over women. The specific item there is, I love it when men control women. And then also because then you can get a moment of peace, but they don't add that. And then also, what was the last one? Sometimes violence is necessary. So these are the norms. They are actually just basically seeing how much a man resembles Snidely Whiplash. And they said that if men rank high on these norms, that there is a strong association with domestic violence. You want to know what that association is? Like it's a significant association. What they mean is the amount of men that they asked is high enough that an association of negative 0.001 is statistically significant. So what they're actually reporting
sorry, I wasn't muted. Okay.
What they're actually reporting is that they found it's statistically significant that there's absolutely no association between these masculine norms and domestic violence. So apparently Snidely Whiplash, while he will tie a woman to the tracks, will not beat her. Right? Okay. So, but you see what the chicanery they got up to, right?
Yeah.
They reported that there was a statistically significant relationship between men who scored high on those norms and domestic violence. But the statistically significant relationship was nothing. There was no relationship.
Yeah.
Like that, but that's statistically significant, you see?
Mhm,
They just didn't include that part. God damn. The absolute level of mendacity of these people in reporting their results in ways that you can just use the whisper network to keep supporting the idea that men are bastards. I mean, even just starting with the whole concept of using a Snidely Whiplash scale and then scoring men based on it, how much they resemble Snidely Whiplash, and then saying, oh, these are the masculine norms, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what Snidely Whiplash is, Teal Deer?
No idea.
No.
Okay.
Oh,
You
that's
don't know
stuff
either?
from Gen X. Yeah, I do. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
He was like a cartoon villain from
Villain.
Hanna-Barbera. Literally,
Ooh.
like long mustache that he could twist around. He was a
So
mustachioed
top
villain.
hat. Yeah, he's a mustachio.
Sometimes,
mustachio.
yeah. He was also on the Wacky Races, so he drove like I forget. It was like some kind of evil-looking car.
But he really
Cheat all the
wanted to
time.
win. He really wanted to win. That is basically what the global masculinity survey is. They ask men, how much do you resemble Snidely Whiplash?
Mhm. On a scale to 1 to 100.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, no, I just looked him up. Yeah, no, I know who that is.
Yeah. But that's the state of the art in masculinities research for the World Bank.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, you got to know that Americans are paying for this shit because the Treasury department's behind it. You're paying for to ask Ethiopian men how much they resemble Snidely Whiplash, guys. Very important work. Okay.
All right, I got a rumble rant from OIC. Gives us $5 and says, she says the man needs to present evidence. Doesn't that not contradict the claim that man only needs to ask for charity or ask for custody? To present evidence means the man has to fight against a presumption that he's not going to get it, basically. Yeah, again, you guys, I get what you're doing. You're considering her position, but if you were talking to this person, they would just keep going. They wouldn't pay attention to any of that stuff. It doesn't register. It doesn't penetrate because they don't care about that. They don't care about that. They want to be right, and that's what they're going to do. So, all right, let's continue.
If I may, I want to point out why I laughed so horrendously during that, for which I apologize. Again, I was not muted. Generally, when it comes to statistics, margin of error tends to float around 5% for things. That's just where anything under that tends to be explainable by just random noise and random sampling, because there's always degrees of randomness. If you're putting things into, say, point something of a variance, 0, absolute 0 is nothing, 1 is 100% of whatever variance it is that you're looking at is going to be explained by any particular variable. So this is very important when it comes to like trying to identify anything. So if you find like one target that you've defined and another target that you've defined somewhere else, and you're getting really high correlation between them, like sort of 0.9, something like that, what you're often then looking at them might actually just be the same thing being defined slightly differently, or there's a very strong relationship between them. 0.01 on that scale would be the equivalent of like 0.001 would be like 0.1%. So you're literally looking at like, 1 person in 1,000 at maximum sort of variance of that like the idea that is going to be in any way significant is absurd. On that sort of point scale, you're going to be looking at like 0.5. That is sort of the point where you start looking and saying, oh, okay, maybe there's actually something to this. Anything less than that, and it's like, no, like we can be aware that it might be doing something to the variance between these two data points, but it's not it's not really worth commenting on. And a final thought to go to the winning, epic winning, because we all love winning. Yeah, when it comes to discussions with people, you will find people who are not seriously discussing with you because they want to discuss with you. They are discussing with you because they want to win. You find this a lot. If you are in a position that, like we are here, if you make content on the internet, there will always be a certain cadre of people who are ideologically opposed to you, who get into arguments with you, and they have to win the conversation no matter what, because they see that you have an audience and that they don't, and they think you are illegitimate. So they basically have to claim the scalp, because they think that if they're able to prove you wrong on one thing, that means nobody should ever listen to you ever on any topic, and you should basically just like delete yourself from the internet. I've discussed this before. You get people like this. It's that very sort of left-wing brain way of looking at it, the relational way of looking at it, where being wrong about one thing is like destroying you as a person, like it undermines your existence, and now you're not allowed to exist. That's how some of these people will play the game. I can bring up another example of this. I had a conversation again, however many years ago now, where I pointed out that there's this sort of chain of events of biology, culture, ideology when it comes to borrowing a title from a Coltane video because it made the point succinctly. That you have a biological organism that is a human. On top of that biological organism that is the human, you have whatever their culture is, and then within that culture you have whatever ideology you have, and that there is this quite strong link, causal link, that goes almost exclusively in one direction. Like, you can have ideology that very slightly alters biology going back there, because you do have practices like eugenics, and eugenics is a whole other thing depending on how you want to define it. Is human mate selection a form of eugenics? The answer is yes, by the way, for people who want to know. But I just sort of gave like a short, like, couple of sentences because, hey, I have a life outside of the internet. And this guy kept hammering on that I'd used that phrase, biology, culture, ideology. And every single time I tried to clarify and was like, well, obviously there are cases to be made for feedback loops. Of course there are. No one has ever said otherwise. But then he just bring that sentence back up. So you said this, and any attempt to clarify was, you're moving the goalposts. You just can't admit that, and you just can't admit you're wrong. You're just trying to get yourself out of something because I caught you in my gotcha. It's like, okay, do you want to have a conversation with me here? I'm here telling you what my position is. I'm here giving you my time to explain what I think on this topic with whatever relevant sources and evidence. You are taking a single sentence and just hammering me with it, saying anything you say other than this one sentence is you being intellectually dishonest and trying to just avoid things. And again, that's a situation where you look at it and it's like, there is no point in engaging with you, because you've already determined the outcome. The outcome that you have determined is just this sentence: I am right, you are wrong, boom, that's it. You're now illegitimized as a person. And there is some effective strategies you can deal with this. And one of them is just straight up ask people from the beginning, what would it take for you to admit you're wrong?
Yeah.
And so many people will just be taken aback by that question because they have no idea, because they don't have any standard in their mind where they're going to be convinced to change their mind about anything. They know they're right, they know you're wrong, boom, that's it, job's done. And this is, unfortunately, there's this kind of attitude, you've got to win, you've got to claim the scalp of someone whose platform you, I guess, secretly covet, or at the very least think that they are unworthy of. It leads to something I call disunderstanding, and you see disunderstanding a hell of a lot on places like Twitter, because Twitter, it rewards quick, pithy, reply guy tier responses where there's one sentence underneath what someone has said and you're trying to like ratio them, as it were. And that's where the disunderstanding comes in. You misunderstand something, you've genuinely just got the wrong end of a stick. A disunderstanding is where you take something that someone has said and you deliberately take the worst possible interpretation of it to the point where it's not you saying that someone is wrong. It's not even a straw man. It's like the straw man's retarded cousin. It's, I'm not even going to lie about what you're saying, but I am going to say something so stupid and pretend that there is even a chance that I think you might think this. It's for an audience. The misunderstanding is very importantly for an audience on social media. It is, behold everyone at how stupid I think this person is by implying there is a non-zero sum chance that they might think this.
Yes.
And you will see that everywhere on Twitter. Now that I've described it, you will see it everywhere. It's someone will make a sentence and then it'll be something along the reply will be something along the lines of, it's interesting that you think. And the it's interesting that you think will be something borderline unrelated.
Yep.
To what it was that you were talking about. Like, I've made posts where it's like, hey, maybe we can hold women accountable for literally anything that they do. And I've had comments under that. It's weird that you think men can't be held accountable for anything. That's a misunderstanding. Behold everyone at how stupid I think this person is, because I assert that there is a non-zero chance in their mind that they think men are not able to be held accountable for anything ever. That's the purpose of that sort of response. I've monopolized my time enough. I am done.
Okay.
We're on to dinner now. Let's have it.
So I did get a Rumble rant. I should read. No, I already read that, didn't I? No, I'm done with that. Okay, let's get back to the video then. Right? Oh, Richard Bier said he sent a super child, but I don't see anything. So it might be stuck in the
I have to poke the
tubes.
voles today. The voles are lazy today.
Okay.
Just give me a second. I'll poke them.
Go poke
Maybe
them. I'll just keep on the
Yeah,
lookout, but I'm
see-
going to keep playing the
I see.
video.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just double check. Yeah, Richard Bier. Yep, they both came through. The voles have now done their duty, and the
All
super
right, I
chows
see it.
have popped
I
up.
see it now. All right, so Richard Bier gave us 5 and says, a woman will fight for sole custody and then put the child into daycare or boarding school and be minimally directly involved with the child and still demand support for the child that she outsourced the raising of. She uses the boarding school and daycare so as to not be inconvenienced by the day-to-day mundane childcare. Thank you for that. And then Darky Gimora gave us 5 and says, the guy was a lawyer and his definition of hearsay stat was getting a data point from a secondhand source instead of where it originally came from. So getting the CDC 2010 numbers on made to penetrate from Alison's video instead of directly from the CDC would be a hearsay stat, according to him, even though Alison paired it with research as to why the lifetime numbers are less reliable. So you basically nailed it accidentally. Thanks. And then I got one from NovaFan for $1 on Rumble, and he says, and what TLDR is explaining is why I prefer to rage bait feminists and communists into thinking my position is so insane that I pray the feminists and communists become even more insane. All right. Thank you for all of that. Let's get to, because we're running out of time here. I got to go soon. So let's see if we can get to the last section at least.
For him about how we live in a patriarchal society that heavily, heavily, heavily favors men in custody decisions. But for some reason, everyone just acts like that's not the case, even though statistically.
Because it isn't the case. Like she just slaps up some.
She just says like, wow, it's weird. People keep acting like this thing that I heard is happening. They act like it's not happening when it's obviously happening, even though there's lots of data that suggests otherwise.
None of her, okay. First of all, her number is going all over the place during this video. So, and where did it come from? Right? I mean, the difference between Dark Kikimora is saying that what I do is hearsay stats and she's doing the same thing. No, because I give you where you can go and find the data yourself. And I give you how I've analyzed the data, which is, I don't do anything dark or occult, right? I give you where the data comes from, give you how I've analyzed it right there. So that is not a hearsay stat. What she's doing, I don't even know if this is hearsay because I don't think she's heard it from anywhere. For all you know, she wrote up whatever she needed or took a screenshot from a feminist who wrote up whatever they needed to assert whatever thing. There's no sources in this, and the number goes all over the place. Is it 94, 97, 72, what 91? She goes multiple numbers to assert this because she doesn't know where this stat comes from. Because her source probably doesn't know where the stat comes from. Because the stat only persists because it's useful. I will see if I can find the provenance of this stat. But yeah, there's another super chow, so maybe we should read that, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna read that one. So Dark Kikimura read that one. Nova fan. Oh wait, there's another one? I read them all.
No, he wrote another one. It's after oh wait. Oh yeah, okay.
I read them.
Yeah, you
read
read that one. I was responding to that one. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No, it's okay. All right, I'm gonna hit play. We're getting to the misandry part.
It is the case that when men ask for custody, they get it. So maybe you could ask him why he didn't ask for custody. Because I'm sure he actually really wants to see his kids. Definitely. He's a good person. Sure. Part 4. Oops, a misandry. So here's the thing.
Does this woman have a father?
No idea. All right. I'm going to keep going.
By Rachel Cusk, Medea. I feel for her. Why is Jason allowed to leave? Why does he get to make the decision to blow up everyone's life without consequence? But
because of no fault divorce.
Why does...
Why does he have the same rights as a woman to well, not really, but why does he have any right, like a woman, to walk away from a relationship?
Yeah.
Does she realize what she's saying? Is she going to argue that women shouldn't have the right to walk away from a relationship? No, she's not going to argue that. So this is a massive double standard. It's like she's saying, well, why should we have no fault divorce? But only for, like, why should men have no fault divorce? Women should continue to have no fault divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Okay.
In the play, no matter what happens, I personally, in my feelings about the characters, blame Medea for the sad end to the children. Even when, in this play by Rachel Cusk, the only thing Medea does is exactly what Jason has done every other time. She says, well, I'm not going to do this, so good luck with the children, and she just leaves. I still blame her for their sad end, and that I have committed a misandry. I have lower expectations for men when it comes to fatherhood than women when it comes to motherhood. Like, yeah, it's not fair that men are allowed to abandon their children, but Medea, how could you do that? You're a mother. Like, that is my first thought. Rachel Cusk really helped me unpack this by making me think about it. While we're talking about the classics, I'm going to have to talk about another classic.
What the fuck? Am I getting this right? She's saying that she's questioning her initial impression, like why did Medea, like, of, I guess, judging Medea for killing the children? Jason didn't abandon his children. There's no indication he wasn't going to see them or support them. Or even not continue to support Medea. He literally said that. Hell, maybe he figured Medea was in the same situation he was. Right? They were just both dealing with the fact that Hera had told them, oh no, just smash them together like a Ken doll and a Barbie doll, and said, yeah, now you're together, guys. I don't give a fuck what you want. Matchmaking by the gods. And he's like, okay, now things are a little stable. Let's get on with our lives now that we've had to deal with being forced together by Hera. Who knows?
Yeah.
But he didn't. He went to her and he said, this situation, he's not going to not give her the benefits of his political elevation to her and her son. So there's no indication that he abandoned them. Right? She's reading into that to support an argument because the argument itself is very bad. But the thing is that why is she saying that him abandoning the kids is cause for her to kill them, for an excuse for her to kill them? What? Okay, yeah. Am I missing something here, or is this just as insane as I think it is?
I think yeah, it's pretty schizo. I got another super chat from Darky Kimura who gives us 5 and says, I didn't mean to accuse you of a true hearsay stat, Alison. I meant that the guy was accusing papers about men being genocided in the third world that also in turn linked to government's data like you did was totally dismissible, not accusing you of being this person you are responding to. Much love. Okay. All right. Yeah, let's well, I mean, she's at least I guess she's at least confronting the idea that she is holding men to a lower standard than women. But well, I mean, that's not really, again,
No,
she's
it's
not doing
not.
anything that isn't
No, she's
pretty
not
normal.
holding women to a lower men to a lower standard. I'm pretty sure if she came across a video saying that Medea killing his children because Jessica had the audacity to walk away from him when she had no choice to be in the relationship in the first place, she would come across and be absolutely horrified. So she's not holding men to a lower standard. This is the amazing thing. It's like I'm looking at this and I can see that this is a gigantic failure mode for women's thinking. Like this level of stupid spaghetti where they get together and they say, oh yeah, we don't hold men to the same standards as we hold women. And when you actually dissect the thinking, it's that they are holding women to any kind of and it's not even holding women to a standard. What they're doing is they have a stereotype about women being better than men when it comes to kids. So it's not even that they're holding women to a higher standard, because the other aspect of this is that when Medea kills her kids, everything is excuses. Oh, Jason made it happen. But if Jason killed his kids because Medea was walking away from him, that would be Jason is a psychopath for them. So they don't even actually hold women to higher standards. What's actually happening is they're female chauvinists who just think women are better than men. And they have mistaken, because they also have the minds of a 3-year-old, the idea that they believe that women are better than men and that they're women, therefore they're better than men, with the idea that they're holding women to a higher standard. No. The chauvinistic, sexist attitude that women are better than men as parents is not holding women to as a higher standard as parents. And in fact, people who hold it are more likely to excuse the abysmal behavior of women towards children in order to uphold their belief than they are to hold women to a higher standard than they do men. These are two completely different things. And of course, she conflates them because her brain is mush. And I'm like looking at this and I'm like, I can't apologize for this, guys. This is woman. This is, I try to say that there could be something better, and every day, like women could be better, could do better, and every day women show me how much of an anomaly I am. Right? This is like every day they show me the abysmal state of their morality, their ethics, their understanding, and their beliefs about men. And also their absolute illogic, like mistaking putting women on a pedestal above men with holding women to higher standards. That's not the same thing. Men are held to much higher standards when it comes to parenthood. For starters, we're allowed to say that men can be deadbeats, that fathers can be bad. We can't say that about mothers. The instant you say, oh, this mother's bad, it boomerangs back on you because you're not upholding the pedestalization of mothers. That's how it works. So she's mistaking her sexism that mothers are better for an actual external standard that mothers are held to that is greater than men. No, my dear, those two things are not the same. But I can say that and you will never understand it because your brain doesn't work that way. Oh,
Yeah.
good Lord.
Okay. Let's keep going, I guess. Yeah, let's do it.
How to Train Your Dragon 2, which came out in 2014. Spoilers for How to Train Your Dragon 1 and 2, I guess. I have to tell you about the plot. So, in the first one, Hiccup is like a small little Viking boy, and he has his father's the chief, and he's like a big guy. And like they have this kind of awkward relationship because Hiccup's mom is dead, right? And his father's like overprotective, but also pushing him to be like a big manly man. And Hiccup's mom was murdered by dragons. His dad saw this, or saw the remnants of it. And so like as a community, they're really good at killing dragons, and Hiccup is going to go be a dragon killer, but then instead he befriends a dragon, and he realizes that dragons are friends, and he convinces his community, and his father and him repair the relationship, and they all ride dragons at the end. Solid movie, great movie. How to Train Your Dragon 1. How to Train Your Dragon 2. 5 years in the future. Hiccup's like a big man, and he's training to be the chief even though he feels nervous. And his dad's like, I love you, son. We're buddies. We'll get through this. And there's a war. And so they need more dragons, and they stumble upon this dragon's nest. And Hiccup, oh my God, it's his mom. He's so happy. His mom didn't die. She was just protecting dragons. And then his father shows up, and like he's not even mad. They just get back together, and they're like, oh my God, this is so great. We're all so happy. We're a family again. And then Hiccup's dad dies. They win the war. But it's like okay that his dad died because he has his mom. So like everything is fine. This movie made me so angry. I hate
Really? Okay.
Hiccup's mom. They just forgive her. And then they just kill his dad. And it's fine. Like just imagine you grew up with a father who was like emotionally traumatized because he saw your mother murdered by a pony. And
I'm curious about where this is going, because literally like you're showing a kind of feminist retcon of a story where in How to Train Your Dragon 1, the mom was dead before the show started, like the movie begins, which sets the tone for the relationship between the father and the son. And now you're showing that in the sequel, they brought the mom back and they kill the father off instead, which I guess is a lot more palatable or tolerable or digestible. And you have a problem with the way that they quickly forgave the mom, which I don't remember. I saw that movie, but it's been a while, so I don't remember much. But okay, let's find out what she says.
you only have your dad, but also it's not like your real dad because he is so traumatized. He is so overprotective and weird that like you never get to know your real father because you have this very strained relationship. And somehow you beat the odds. You grow up to be a normal kid. You repair this relationship with your father who's no longer a broken man. And despite your terrible childhood, you've moved on and you've made the best of it and your life is fine. And then you find out, no, your mother didn't die in a pony attack. She staged it. She's actually been alive this whole time, just like living with ponies. Like that terrible childhood, she traumatized your father. She ruined your childhood. She abandoned you, for ponies. And you just forgive her. Like, it's fine. That's this movie. They immediately forgive her. It is crazy. She was alive the whole time. Just use your words, Valka. What is this? And it's the same thing as in Medea, Because of the patriarchy, I am much more accepting of men abandoning their children than I am of women abandoning their children in media. Like, I am way more mad.
Wait, what?
No.
Yeah, I know. That was a bit of a leap.
No, you are gynocentric. You are fine with people forgiving women for shit that they do.
Yeah.
That's what's
Yeah, but
happening there.
No, she's arguing that she was much more upset at Hiccup's mom than at Jason, even though Jason, she's literally arguing that Jason abandoning Medea is justification for Medea killing the children, which, you know, Hiccup's mom didn't kill Hiccup, or Hiccup's father didn't kill Hiccup because his wife abandoned him. So it's like a completely different situation, right? So and we're not excusing Hiccup's father for killing Hiccup because his wife abandoned him. So she's basically comparing apples to jackals, like apples to ferrets, like something it's not even in the same like the same category of
Yeah.
living thing. Like, and then she's saying, oh, but I'm so much more judgmental of Hiccup's mom disappearing. And it's like, but then she's also not engaging in the fact that Hiccup's father and Hiccup forgave her. And honestly, I think what really bothers her is the presentation of all of that made Hiccup's father out to be a freaking saint. Right? He decided to prioritize what remained of his life with her, with his wife, than to continue to hold a grudge against her. Right? And there could be more complexity to it. He knew that he had like this really aggressive hatred of dragons, and his wife was very much drawn to them. So she felt like she couldn't explain this to him. It's a little bit cartoony logic. But
Yeah.
I think the real problem here is the father is shown in an incredibly forgiving light. Like that he is the bigger person.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't like that. I think that's the real problem.
Mm.
And she's saying, what she is actually saying is, the fact that I'm watching a man forgive a woman, recognize the woman did something harmful, and is in the moral position to forgive her, I don't like that. And she, I don't know. I think she hates Hiccup's mom because she's forcing her to confront it. That entire scenario is forcing her to confront the possibility
Yeah.
that
Sure.
men aren't horrific creatures. But also, I think she's doing it for the argument, right? Or maybe she doesn't understand forgiveness. Like, I mean, she is literally arguing that if a man exercises the right to walk away from a woman, aka no-fault divorce, he should be punished by having his children killed, his new wife killed, and his new father-in-law killed. And this is acceptable behavior. It should be lionized as a feminist icon, right? That's what's going on here. So maybe she just doesn't understand forgiveness. I know these are a little bit more stretches than what I'm saying, but I think that this is a very convenient to her argument. One, two, the forgiveness that's happening here is not the same kind. Being angry at Hiccup's mother is not the same operation in your mind. Like, okay, would you, if Hiccup's father killed Hiccup because the mother abandoned them, would you still be like, oh my God, the real issue is the mother abandoned them? No, lady, you would not. So you're not comparing the same to the same. Not at all.
Yeah.
Or is it justified? Is Hiccup's father justified in murdering Hiccup because Hiccup's mother abandoned them? That is the like-to-like comparison. And I really suspect that she would not make that argument, right? Because she's making the argument that Jason leaving is so unforgivable, it justifies Medea killing their children. I don't think she would ever make the argument that Hiccup's mother leaving is so unjustified that it justifies Hiccup's father killing Hiccup. So she's not actually comparing like to like here. She's making a false equivalence in order to support her argument.
Sure.
I can conjecture about like the subtle psychological motivations for this, but that's the fundamental point. That's the logical point that's going on here. And these two things are not the same. All right, let's.
If we just want to throw up a random theme of male forgiveness, is she aware of, or perhaps, well, I guess it wasn't in Medea. Is she aware of the fact that Jason forgave Medea's murders before this play?
She doesn't mention anything like that.
Because before all of this, because the reason that they had to flee to Corinth was because Medea killed, who was it? Peleus, I think it was, in another kingdom, by deceiving his daughters. Like that's why they had to flee. Like after the Golden Fleece came back and all, there was some stuff which I don't remember, but she did a magic trick in front of this guy's, the king's daughters, because the king was supposed to like abdicate or something, and Jason was supposed to, there was some royal connection there that I'm not 100% on, but he didn't go, so she wanted to get him deposed. Medea tricked his daughters by killing either a ram or some other guy, depending on which, because there's like 3 different versions of this.
Versions, yeah.
So she kills something, whether it's a guy or a goat or something, cuts it all up, and then like boils it or puts herbs on it or whatever, and it comes back to life, and it's like young and virile again. And and Peleus' daughters are like, "Oh, do this to our father, do it. We want him to be young and happy and healthy and all of that stuff." And again, this is where you get 2 different versions. The one where the daughters have got the wrong end of the stick, they kill and cut up their father and nothing happens. And the other one, they kill him, cut him up and all this stuff, and they say, "Medea, bring him back," and she just says, "Lol, no," and leaves. And then that's why they get banished from this kingdom. So their life was kind of set up after the Golden Fleece thing. Medea fucked over their king. And then Medea and Jason had to leave. And at that point, he didn't say, "Hey, you know what? I don't think this is going to work out." He stuck with her anyway. And then there's the whole brother killing thing that also happened. And then, of course, you know, they had to flee from Corinth for that. And then that's why he wanted to, I think, marry whatever her name was, daughter of Corinth thing, to basically get back to what they were doing before Medea. Like he forgave Medea for killing people already, and then was like, "Hang on, I can get things back if I just marry this person and maybe leave the psycho murderer who I've already forgiven perhaps 2 times more than I should have." Is any of this brought up by her?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
No, that doesn't. That's irrelevant. The thing is that Jason has the audacity to leave. I mean, on every access, Jason should have the right to leave this woman. And if this is, as you said, was Medea and Jessica, the fact that Medea has demonstrated multiple times that he is willing to murder to keep Jessica, I'm pretty sure she would argue that Jessica's consent is not actually valid. So you can just imagine being Jason. I don't know how the kids happened, but regardless, he's like, and he could probably project that the kids might be a fatality if he ever left Medea based on her behavior. And he would probably be right. Like, and again, if this was genders reversed, there's no way that this woman would argue that this is acceptable behavior. There's another this person going apeshit in the vertical chat.
Yeah, in the special chat. We should.
I want to cover a few things. Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. So I figured out where the Angela sites are likely from. She didn't give anything. I don't know if she put it in the low bar, but the 94% traces to a 1989 Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court gender bias study. I think I've actually gone through that and I've looked at it, and the real source is Trust Me Bro. Nobody can find the original study. So it was just it's basically a woozle. And the study surveyed contested custody cases in one state, found fathers who actively pursued custody through litigation succeeded at high rates. Small N, single state contested custody only, self-selected, 37 years old. Widely circulated as a national contemporary rate. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is a woozle. Then when I tracked this down, it ended up being, the citation was like a study that nobody could find and nobody could verify. And then the 72%, even with documented abuse, traces to Joan Mayer's 2019 study founded by the Department of Justice, National Institute of Justice, analyzing appellate cases where mothers alleged abuse and fathers raised paternal alienation defenses. Mayer found fathers won custody in a majority of such cases. The population is appellate cases with alienation claims, not general custody outcomes. Is it possible that the alienation was so severe that the court had no choice? Right? And what is was it like men got primary custody, or did they just get shared custody asserted? Right? Because the thing is that these are cases in which an allegation of abuse is asserted and a man is willing to fight it. Right? This is a self-selecting group of men, most likely with substantial amount of evidence on their side. So to say that when a man is falsely accused of some form of abuse and he has most likely has substantial evidence to the point where, he 72% of the time the court sides with him, that is not the average man.
Mm-hmm.
And the average man's dealing with the family court. All right, so anyway, I wanted to point that out because she's completely misrepresenting custody.
Yeah,
And of course,
yeah.
All right, let's continue or finish this off.
Than I am at like Aladdin's dad, And I think that
Aladdin?
that's shameful. I should not do that. That's bad. And I think this dissonance is, why we need feminism. This is the patriarchy. We should be equally upset at any parent who fails to care for the child they created, no matter what gender the parent is. When you talk about feminism,
Okay.
Again,
All right, so we're not comparing like to like here. Hiccup's dad didn't kill Hiccup. Medea killed her sons.
Yeah.
And you are, again, using Jason, quote unquote, abandoning Medea to justify her killing her sons. Saying that you're more upset at Hiccup's mom for leaving, it's just not the same thing. Right? You'd have to actually look at a case where you're watching some kind of a story in which the woman leaves, the man kills the children, and you watch that and you say, oh, I can't believe she left. It was totally justified. He killed the children and her next boyfriend and her father-in-law, her new father-in-law. That was totally justified. Are you showing us that? Why don't you, like, Angela is her name, right? Of course, she's never going to see this. But Angela, I want you to do a video in which you say that you feel less condemnation for a man who murders his kids because a woman leaves him, and not just his kids, but the woman's new boyfriend and the woman's new father-in-law. And you say that this story, yeah, I feel like he's more justified than Medea was. You do that. You say that in public, that you feel a male family annihilator is justified by a woman trying to leave him, and that you feel more sympathy for a male family annihilator. Say it in public. Compare like to like. I want to see it. Because otherwise, all you're doing is another sophist maneuver, childish, actually not even sophist, childish maneuver of saying, well, this thing is sort of like this thing, and I feel this way about this thing, which justifies me feeling this way. Like I judge Hiccup's mother more than I judge Jason. That's why it's okay for me to justify Medea killing her kids because Jason left. Do you see the logical maneuver here, or the illogical maneuver here? Yeah. Okay. Let's finish it off. Sorry, Brian.
That's like feminism, huh? Equal rights for equal lefts. I can hit you then. If you're equal to me, I can just hit you. And that's like a huge red flag. That guy just wants to beat women. Stay away from that guy. But also it's a crazy thing to say, because no, you can't just hit me. You can't just hit anyone. You can't just hit other men because you're both men. We are adults. We use our words. No, you can't hit anyone. In the Medea version of
What
this,
the fuck
Medea
is this shit?
because she's
Like literally, a woman kills 2 children, and she's talking about some dude saying equal lefts or equal rights, and always that's in the context with a woman wailing on a man. By the way,
Yeah, the only time that phrase is ever used is in self-defense context.
Yes,
it's like
Yeah.
he's hitting me repeatedly. Okay, I'm just going to end this because I can.
Yeah.
Of course,
that's
if you
the
do
only time
that,
it's
you
used.
get arrested.
So is she
Yeah, for
arguing
sure.
that Medea killed her children in self-defense? Probably. Actually, that's probably exactly what she's arguing. Jason leaves her. Jason uses, practices his own bodily autonomy and leaves Medea. And Medea kills her kids in self-defense. That's probably the argument. Like she just straw manning after straw manning. There's no such thing. Like she's arguing about a fiction in her own relational web. She has like this idea of what men are that bear no existence to actual reality. Right here, just distorted. Men say that when they're being physically assaulted by women and they want to stop it. I haven't seen it in any other context. I don't see it with just a man walking up to a woman and punching her in the face. I don't think I've ever seen a man defend that. But that's what she's arguing men defend. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. A little bit left.
Jason was going to abandon his children, and that's not the correct response. I mean, obviously, it's not fair that men get to do this. The response is not, women should also get to do this. The response is, men should not abandon
They
their
do.
children. We as a society.
They do. And also, there's no indication that he's going to abandon his children. How did this become abandoning his children? I thought it was about him abandoning Medea. And yes, women do. They walk away from relationships all the time. And nobody justifies men killing the kids as a result. But that's what you're doing when a man says, I'm done with this relationship that I didn't even consent to in the first place. I'm going to marry somebody else to try to get back on my life back on track. I'm not abandoning you or the kids. And then she says, well, that's not good enough because I don't get to have you. I'm going to kill everybody. Oh, we still have another 2 minutes, Brian. It's going to take longer than just a little bit.
I mean, like, there's not much left. If you just want to wrap it up, that's okay. I don't think she's going to say anything revolutionary in the next 2 minutes.
She's not going to say anything sensible.
Yeah.
There is one sensible thing she could do to end this. There is one viable ending. The last few seconds is her saying, can you imagine if I actually believed any of that? Lol.
No, I don't think that's going to happen.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
Disparaging, shameful remarks towards men who abandon their children as women who abandon their children. No one should abandon their kids, actually. That's the lesson that I've learned. How do we live in a society where men are just allowed to abandon their children? Isn't that weird? Like, I'm sure everybody has like some random second cousin, like Uncle Jim, who shows up to Christmas and someone's like, hey, how are the kids? And he's like, oh, I haven't seen them in like a year. Yeah, but like he's still invited to Christmas. But if you had an Aunt Jamie who showed up to Christmas...
Okay, this isn't going nowhere. Just like, okay, this is bullshit. Like, no one says it's okay for men to abandon their kids. In fact, if anything, the opposite is true. Like, women can throw their babies in a dumpster and because they don't want to have them on prom night or whatever. So
no
yeah, I mean,
charges.
this is just a way. Yeah, there's not going to be any charges. Like, women have essentially committed genocidal levels if you consider abortion to be murder. Guess what? Yeah, women win. Like, they've killed more babies than all wars combined since we've been recording it. So this is like a meaningless exercise, and there's no comparison. So I gotta go pick up Lindsay. So can you can we do the things?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just get this done. All right, guys. So if you want to send something after the show is over, I know this is a bit abrupt, but I don't think we're going to get anything more out of this. She's just repeating herself. She's just using the worst kind of logic to excuse an appalling position, which is that women, apparently, if men leave them, should be lionized for killing their kids. Kids who are like probably 10 and 12, and that's postpartum psychosis somehow as well, even though postpartum psychosis is over in about a year. And anyway, this is her position, and she's just using a lot of random anecdotes to justify it. And of course, if a man said anything like this, what would happen to him? Let's see. Let me just go back and read it out again. If a man said anything like this, it would be treated as an ISIS-level recruitment adjacent artifact. Honor a killing apologia. The video would be pulled from YouTube, and under incitement policies, the creator doxed within 48 hours. Employer contacted. Criminal referral discussed. Every women's organization would issue statements. News coverage would treat the man as evidence of a broader male violence problem requiring policy response. No academic would defend the reading. No publisher would touch him. And probably we would be in 6 months see a UK documentary on the man who justified a male family annihilator because a woman tried to leave him. Right? That would be the new incel talking point. But that's not what's happening here, because it's a woman citing feminism. So we're all going to celebrate the family annihilator because she has a vagina. All right. If you have any commentary on that, send it to feedthebadger.com/justthetip. That's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Very best way for you to send us a tip and a message with that tip. And if you want to support the show, please go to feedthebadger.com/support. Big thank you to Prometheus for sliding in $100 under the wire. And thank you to everybody else who helped make our fundraiser this week. And if you want to join us in our community, badgernation.online, and let's free Brian to go get his wife. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, well, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we talked about on the show today, and share the video because sharing is caring. Thanks so much for coming on the show, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.